Welcome to the second part of this lesson where we're going to be talking about substitution. So what is substitution? Well, expressions can be evaluated by substituting numbers for the given pro-numerals. Now, before we launch into the big discussion and examples of substitution, let's just remind ourselves of some things we learned in Year 7 algebra. And that is that we can write expressions without multiplication or division signs. So remember, for example, that 5b means 5 times b, and a over 3 means a divided by 3. So let's see if we can now write without the multiplication or division sign the following expressions. So if I have 7 times b, well, that's just 7b. If I have y times 27, that's just going to be 27y. If I have this, it's just going to be 8ab. So as you can notice here, my number always comes first, then followed by my pro-numerals. Over here, if I was to write these without the division sign, it's just going to be 3 over 4, then 9 over x, and then x over 9 for this one. So that's it. Okay, so that's good that we have a little refresher on that because it's going to be needed as we work through these examples. Okay, so the first one says, evaluate these expressions using a is equal to -2 and b is equal to 3. The first thing we have to figure out is what is a plus b. Now, it's very important that in your first step, so let me just come here, in your first step should never involve maths. Your first step should simply just be subbing in what you've been given. So if it's a plus b, well, I know that a is equal to -2. So I'm going to take this -2 and I'm going to substitute it into the a spot. So I'm going to write -2 here. Then I have a plus, so I write a plus here. Then I have b, so I take the b and I substitute it into the b spot. So this b is 3, so I put a 3 here. That's your first step. Your first step is always just substituting in the values. Then your second step is evaluating what you've just done. So in this case, what is -2 plus 3? Well, obviously it's going to be 1, and that's your answer. So notice that there's 2 steps. The first step is always just substituting in what you've been given. All right, let's now try it again. And remember that there is 2 steps here. The first step is just substitute in what you've been given. Okay, so I have 2. Now, I have a, so I'm going to open up a bracket and I'm going to put -2 in there because that's what a is equal to. Let me just get rid of these arrows. So I'm taking this -2, I'm putting it into the a spot, and then I'm subtracting b. b is 3, so I'm taking this, I'm putting that in there, so like that. So that's what you should get. Notice that I didn't do any maths here, I just substituted in. Then in your second step you're going to do the maths. Now remember, when there is nothing in between, like this, it's 2 times -2, which is going to be -4, then -3, and that's going to be -7, and that's going to be my answer. Okay, let's do the next one. You don't actually have to write this 1 and 2 there. Let's just do it without writing the 1 and 2. So the first thing you're going to do is substitute in. So it's -4, then 3, open bracket, -2 for the a, then plus, open bracket, 3, close, close. So as you can see, I just substituted in. I didn't do any maths there at all. The next step I do maths. So I'm going to go, it's -4 on the outside. I'm going to do what's inside the brackets first. And I'm also going to do the multiplication first because multiplication comes before addition. So that's where your BIDMAS comes into play. This is going to be -6 plus 3, like that. Now, what is -6 plus 3? That's going to be what's -6 plus 3? That's going to be -3. And then this final -4 times -3 is going to be 12. Like that. Perfect. All right, let's go through some more examples. Just 3 more. You might like to pause the video and try these for yourself. So as you can see, a is now equal to -3 and b is equal to 5. So we have to be careful. All right, so first step, just substitute in. A is equal to -3, b is equal to 5. Then I'm going to plus, then I've got a is equal to -3 squared. And that's what it should look like. So I just substituted in there. Now, let's do these indices first. What is -3 squared? So remember, that's going to be negative 3 times negative 3, which is going to be positive 9 because the negatives cancel. So that means I'm going to get a 9 here. Now I'm going to plus onto that. What's negative 3 times 5? That's going to be negative 15. Now I've got negative 15 plus 9. That's going to be negative 6. Let's go to our next one. Here I have a cubed. Well, a is negative 3, so I put negative 3 cubed minus. Then I have a, that's going to be negative 3. Plus, then I have b, which is 5, and then I'm squaring the whole thing there. Negative 3 cubed is going to be negative 27, because it's negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. So we spoke about that previously. Next, I have minus. Now I have these brackets here which are being squared. Let's deal with what's inside the brackets. It's going to be negative 3 plus 5, which is positive 2. Then I have 2 squared, which is 4, negative 27 minus 4. So my answer is going to be negative 31. Perfect. Last one. Hopefully you have paused the video and given this a go. You're not just blindly watching me. You'll never learn that way. You've got to give things a go. All right, so we're going to go negative 2. Then in A, we put negative 3. And you know what? I like putting everything in brackets. Negative 3 like that. Then minus 2. Then I've got B, which is 5. And then I have to close the brackets. Then I've got minus, then A, which is negative 3. So you got to be really careful with the brackets here. It's always safe. Do you see how I've just put this negative 3 in brackets there? And, you know, it's not entirely necessary for me to do so. I could just write it like this. But sometimes the more brackets you have, it's just nice and neater. But you just got to be careful that you're doing it correctly. All right, let's keep on going now. So I'm going to go negative 2, negative 3. Then I'm going to do this calculation here, which is going to be negative 10. Then I've got negative and a negative. That's going to be plus 3. Then I'm going to go, what is inside the brackets here? It's going to be negative 13. Then I have a plus 3. Then I've got negative 2 times negative 13, which is going to be positive 26, plus a 3 to that. My answer is going to be 29. So lots of steps there. Hopefully you didn't get too lost in the maths there, but always remember the first step of doing a substitution question is just substitute. Don't do any maths. As you can see, the first step never involved any maths. It was literally me just putting in the numbers. And normally what happens is that when these are marked on a test, it might be like out of 2 marks. Normally it is actually always out of 2 marks. And the first mark is allocated just for you subbing in the information, and then the other mark is for the answer. So make sure you are doing that first step of substituting in. That's always what your first step should be. And remember, in a test, you normally will be awarded marks for that first step of just substituting in. Okay, and with that being said, that's everything I needed to talk about. Hopefully you found these videos useful, and you can now continue on with your exercise. See ya.